Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have been gone for way too long. It's been like a month and I'm here to explain. I'm here to kind of just get this channel going again. It was just a month break and I have a whole reason behind it and we'll get into that. But I just wanted to quickly say before we get into the video that I have missed you guys and I am excited for future videos. It just needed a little break because I had gone home for Christmas to my hometown in Washington and I was there for a month. So with everything going on, it didn't really work out for me to pull out the camera, and I just really wanted to spend time and be present with my family and my spouse's family. So that is kind of my little message before we begin. I do want to say that at the beginning of this video I'm going to be talking a lot about breastfeeding, clogged ducts, mastitis, abscess, all things I never really knew about until I started breastfeeding and had my daughter. So if you are not really interested in any of that, or for whatever reason don't want to listen to it, I'll put like a timestamp right over here where you guys can fast forward to and kind of skip the whole breastfeeding part. For the people that are watching that are moms, soon to be moms but like past the breastfeeding stage, and maybe you're just not even you're not even a mom yet, you're not close to being a mom yet, for whatever reason, hi, I am here to just give my story on a pretty traumatic clogged duct that turned into mastitis, that turned into a breast abscess, which is, I wouldn't say very common for people to get, and I can explain my whole story. I am making this video because when I had a clogged duct, it was my first clogged duct, my only clogged duct, that turned into mastitis, that turned into a breast abscess, and I could not find videos anywhere. I could not find information anywhere about a breast abscess. I couldn't find anything, and I had no help, and I felt alone because I felt like I literally was the only person going through that on this earth. And I know that's not the case. I just know that people maybe don't want to talk about it, relive it, because it was a pretty traumatic experience. And I don't know if the extent of my abscess was what everyone else went through, or what maybe people went through worse. But I just want to talk about it because I think it's something that should be talked about. I don't think it's something that should be kept to myself. I want moms that need help and go through this to at least not feel alone, at least. So yeah, that's what I'm here to talk about today, is breast abscess, which is really fun. But then after that, I just kind of want to update you guys on my daughter, where we're at, and all that. So, and that is where you guys can skip to now if you don't want to listen to anything else about breast abscess. But for those of you here, I just want to tell my story. So I think it was December 22nd is when my family, my husband, my daughter, and I went back home to Washington I went for a month. Marcus stayed for like 2 or 3 weeks. But we went home to be home for the holidays. And it was a long trip, so I obviously didn't want to go home with a clogged duct. So basically, to rewind a little bit, right before we left, so that weekend before December 21st, 22nd, I was alone at home with Brexley while my husband was gone for a wrestling tournament with his school. And I had gotten a clogged duct, and it was pretty bad, but manageable. Like, the pain was manageable. If any of you have had a clogged duct, you know that it's painful, but like, you're not gonna die. Like, you can still sleep on it. I mean, I guess I'm speaking for myself. I don't know. Mine, I could still sleep. Like, it was fine. But my daughter would not eat off that side, and they say, constantly pump, have your daughter or your baby eat off of that side so that they can try to get the clog unclogged, basically. but my daughter did not like it. She could tell that there was no milk coming out, or very few, like not a lot of milk at all. And so she would refuse and basically like throw a fit if I even put her laying down that way, because she knew I would try, because I wouldn't stop trying. So basically, sorry, my mind's everywhere. It's just that it was a lot. And so I had called my OBGYN and I was like, hey, I leave in however many days, like less than a week, and I like have a clogged duct. I don't want it to turn into mastitis, but I need help now. And they had nothing available. And then they said that because I'm however many weeks postpartum that they no longer help me, which I didn't really understand, but that's okay. And so I actually had to go through a doctor online, and they ordered me antibiotics for mastitis before I had mastitis. So it was more of like a taking caution ordering the antibiotics rather than I actually have it. So yeah, it just got really painful. Never unclogged. I did everything in the handbook, everything you can think of, like name it, and I most likely did it. Whether that was compressing, using a little heated pad or whatever to, you know, like soften up the milk and get it kind of going. I iced after I pumped. I did the Haka with Epsom salt. I did everything. Everything over the moon, and nothing worked. It was just terrible. Nothing worked. So kind of fast forward a little bit, we're going home. My husband's back home. I'm still in quite a bit of pain, but again, not terrible. So we fly home, and we flew home early in the morning, and so I went straight to urgent care when I got home. My mom just went with me because I have no family here in California, so it was really nice to have my mom with me. And so basically went to urgent care. The doctor checked and he's like, yeah, this is not abscess, this is just mastitis. I will get you more antibiotics and take these for this long. If you don't see any improvement in the next 24 to 48 hours, go to the ER. And I was like, oh, perfect, it's not abscess. This whole time I was thinking it was abscess because I, you know, was doing all this research all of a sudden for clogged ducts and mastitis, and I kept seeing a lot about abscess, and I'm like, I do not want abscess. Like, it is not good. It's not good at all. And it's usually moms get mastitis, they get their antibiotics, and they're good. Like, I maybe found 2 people that actually had abscess. Like, it was not common to actually have your mastitis lead to abscess. Yeah, I get my antibiotics and I'm on it for about a day, not even 48 hours, a day. And I try going to bed that next day, and I am in the most pain I have ever been in. I told my husband in that moment I'd rather given labor 5 times. Like, I'd rather go through labor, 5 times than like deal with that pain again. It was the worst pain, all on just one breast and one spot of my breast. And so I call my mom and I'm like, we have to go to the ER. And this is where it gets a little bit more traumatic, because it's like, I didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. I just thought I was in a lot of pain, but it was so bad that when I got to the ER, there was a waiting room full of people, and my doctor moved me up to the top and got me immediately into a room into the hospital. They got me admitted like that. It was like that made it more real that this wasn't just, you know, pain in my breast. This was a really bad infection that was caused because I could not get my clogged duct unclogged. And it was scary for me because, like I said, I have not seen I could not find anywhere anyone going through this, so I was like, wow, I'm really the only one going through this. This is really scary. My white blood count was 25, and my doctor said, which I didn't really know this, but my doctor said that your average white blood count is like 13. So basically my body was not going to kill that infection on its own. It was a bad infection, so bad that I kid you not, every single doctor I saw in that hospital, every time they'd be like, all right, show me what you've got going on and blah, blah, blah. Because there's so many doctors, you know, they change shifts, and same with nurses are changing shifts, so they have to like check up on me, every new nurse and all that. And every time I pulled my gown down, they were like what? Every single one said, whoa. And I was like, yeah, it's in a lot of pain. So that is kind of where we started out, is going from the ER to immediately getting admitted. They had me go through like getting CAT scans. I had to get an ultrasound. What else did I have to do? I just feel like there was just so much going on that I was just like extremely tired the whole time. But yeah, this was, I don't even know how to like describe it, the worst pain I have ever gone through. I actually ended up being in the hospital for 4 days, and it was pretty traumatic because it was through Christmas. I was in the hospital on Christmas Day, my daughter's first Christmas. Like, it was a lot. It was emotional, like it just caused so many emotions. I was scared. I only had visiting hours from 8 to 8, so I was alone from 8 at night to 8 in the morning. And yeah, so there was just a lot going through my head in those 4 days, like, why me, you know? Basically, to backtrack a little bit, I get admitted, and basically my doctor's like, you've got to get surgery. So there's 2 kinds of surgeries that you can get with a breast abscess. You can get drainage from a like syringe needle, and so they'll basically like stab that, not stab it, obviously there's a more professional way, I'm sure, but you know, put that in you and then suck it out, suck all the pus out, because that's what an abscess is. Actually, I'm gonna search up what the like scientific term of a breast abscess is so that you guys can get a better idea. A breast abscess refers to a buildup of pus from an infection in your breast, and inflammation of breast tissue, mastitis, may also lead to infections. So that's kind of like how it started. That's what it is. It's just a buildup of pus in your boob, basically, to sum it up. My doctor's like, so you've got to get the surgery done, and I was like, okay, like, perfect. So that was the first surgery you could get, or if it's like, if it's a lot, if it's huge, then they'll say, like, screw the syringe, that's not gonna get all of the pus out. They're gonna make 2 incisions, so they'll make like incisions on your breast around the abscess, and then like put this like little mini, like, not huge, when I say it's like a hose, but it's not huge. I know we all think of like a huge hose, a little tiny hose thing through your breast, and then there's like a little pouch that hangs, and it basically collects all of the pus throughout like the next couple of days or weeks, depending on your situation. Yeah, and so I was really nervous to get the incision. I was like, I really hope that's not the one that they want to give me. And so they're like, okay, we'll just do the drain one. Like, that one, your breast abscess doesn't look huge, and so we'll use the syringe. And so I go through the surgery. They numb you, but they don't put you to sleep. They just give you some sort of gas that makes you really loopy. It makes you feel like you went to sleep, but you never did the whole time. It was great. Obviously I felt nothing, which was great. Like, after the fact, I didn't feel anything. I felt like there was no pain, but I was also pretty numb, so yeah. And I felt like everything went well. Obviously, my breast was very, very inflamed after the fact, like after the surgery, because it just, you know, it had a lot going on right there, and so it just inflamed, and it did not look good, but I didn't know what, like, I didn't know what it was supposed to look like. I didn't know that it probably shouldn't have been inflamed. So we're just in the hospital, like, I'm kind of recovering from that, and I think this is Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve, and my doctor's like, so basically you're not going home before Christmas or on Christmas. Like, there's no way. This got worse and you have to go in for a second surgery. And so at this point I'm like crying, basically. I had the most amazing doctors though. The Lord was just truly with them and with me while I was in the hospital, because they were angels. They just, like, when I started crying, because I just knew, like, I knew it wasn't the end of the world to not spend Brexley's first Christmas with her, but it's just, there was just so much going on. So I felt so many different emotions and I just couldn't hold it in. It just had been too much. So I just kind of let it out, and the doctor's like, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, my daughter's first Christmas is this year, blah blah blah. And they just looked heartbroken, and I'm like, don't, it's okay, like, I'm fine too. It's just a lot of emotions right now. And they literally let, like, I wouldn't say they snuck Brexley in, because they got permission from the supervisor, but like, especially with COVID, they're not allowed to have any extra visitors in, specifically babies, because, you know, with COVID they don't want to risk anything with infants. So you can only have one visitor, and they actually allowed Brexley to come to the hospital on Christmas, to hang out with me for a little bit, which was such a blessing, such a blessing. Obviously Christmas looked so different that day, but the fact that they allowed my daughter to come into the hospital was amazing. That was really cool. But basically that was kind of like, I kind of jumped ahead. I had a surgery Christmas Eve, and it was my second surgery because my breast, I told you, was inflamed so big. It was triple the size of like my non-infected breast. It was insane, insane, and it hurt so bad. I could not pump. I like could not do anything. I could not, it just was so painful. And this whole time I'm hooked up to IVs. I'm hooked up to these like compression things on my legs, because they wanted to keep my legs, I don't know technically what it was for, but he did say it was like so that it prevented blood clots in my leg. And so we go in for the second surgery Christmas Eve, and that is where they had to actually make the 2 incisions. So they did the first surgery with just the syringe needle, didn't end up working, and so then they had to go in again and do the second surgery with the incisions. That one I was completely out. I was not awake for that. They actually made an incision on like the side of my breast and then underneath, and then they had this like little plastic tube thing wrapped in and then tied on the outside, so I could literally like pull it but it wouldn't come out because it's like wrapped inside of me, you know. I don't know how like else to explain it. It was so weird, but it was to keep my incisions from closing. There was no stitching, there was just that tube, so they had to stay open. They didn't want to stitch it, they wanted it to stay open so that it would continually just like get rid of that disgusting pus and that disgusting whatever. So I forgot to mention, in my first surgery they got about 80 milliliters of pus out, and I'm sorry, this is probably really gross, but this is like real life. This is what an abscess is. This is what I didn't know going into it and what I wish I did know. I had 80 milliliters of pus, and that was pretty gross. But then they did the second surgery and they got another 80 milliliters out, which is 160 milliliters, which is like not a full bottle, but like the amount that Brexley drinks when I make her formula, like when I make her a bottle. She's drinking 160 milliliters, which if I'm correct, it's like 6 ounces or something like that. Like, go grab a bottle and look at what that is. That's a lot, and that's disgusting, and that was in me. That's why my breast was so infected, and they just couldn't let me out of the hospital until my white blood count went down, because my body wasn't able to kill that infection on its own. I physically had to be on IV antibiotics or else I'd get really sick. Like, they couldn't let me out, even though I'm sure everyone wanted me out. They physically could not let me out. It was just like I'd be really sick. I went home finally the day after Christmas, and basically you have to like just stuff your bra with like padding, so that, not padding, like gauze or something like that, to just and you have to continually change it out, because there's just getting full of pus and gross stuff. And then I was on antibiotics while I was at home too. That's kind of my breast abscess story. Basically, during all of that, Brexley, obviously I could not see her. I was able to keep my milk, my doctor said, out of the non-infected breast, but I was so tired in the hospital, and I was awake every couple hours. They had to come, you know, change my antibiotics, or for whatever reason they had to check on me, and so I was so tired that when I had the chance to pump, I didn't want to. And so my milk supply just dropped, and I was okay with it. Brexley was already on formula at that point because I wasn't home to feed her. So I just kind of, you know, talked to my husband about it, and we both kind of agreed, like, this is now, like, we gotta go to formula. For my mental health, I knew my baby will not be happy and healthy if her mom isn't happy and healthy, and I wasn't. After that, I was traumatized. I didn't want to breastfeed. Honestly, it was just like the last thing on earth I wanted to do. And it's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. Breastfeeding is the most beautiful thing. And for those of you who can still do it after getting abscess, good for you. I'm like cheering you on over here, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I do want to obviously try again with my other children if I have more children, but for this baby, I just was like, formula it is. That is my story on my breast abscess. I hope that those of you who are watching can get information from me. Not even information, but just like, you just feel more calm that you weren't the only one, or you aren't the only one. But in the moment, it's a lot on you, and so I just hope that this can be a light to those who are going through it. So with that is kind of the end of the breast abscess section of this video, the main section, but obviously not everyone wants to talk about that. So that's the end of that. I did do an Instagram poll of just any questions that people may have, and I don't want to answer a ton of them because I want to save them for other videos, but one question I did want to answer was, how is Brex, you know, how is she doing moving to formula from breastfeeding, like exclusively just breastfeeding? And she did so well. That girl's a trooper. I honestly don't have much to say on it because she did so well. I didn't see a lot of it when she first started, but like my husband told me and my family told me, she just did so well. She took it like she's been having formula forever. And that girl, no, she has not. So I don't know why, but I am just so thankful, and I just like praise the Lord for that, because it would have been so hard to see her struggling while I'm not there if she weren't able to take formula very well. But no, she takes it so well. She takes it like a champ. And yeah, so that is kind of an update on Brex. She is almost 5 months, so she's getting so big. She can roll on her stomach now from her back. What else? She's sleeping in her crib, not through the night, but like for nap times, and then she sleeps through the night. She went through a very short period of her like 3-month sleep regression, and then we went back home to Washington, and she like snapped out of it. So I don't know what was going on there, but she sleeps from like 7 to 8. Sometimes she wakes up around 6 a.m., but then she just like needs a diaper change real quick, and then she'll go back to sleep. So that's been really, really nice. It is fun to see her grow and change and just see her personality come out as she's slowly, you know, getting more strong, and, you know, just her personality is coming out, and it's the cutest little thing ever. I just love it. But yeah, I hope this video was encouraging to those of you who are going through or just want to know what it's like to go through, you know, a clogged duct to mastitis to a breast abscess. It's not common, like I said, so I hope this is a video that you can find and stumble upon and realize, like, hey, it's not common, but at least she went through it, you know? At least she was in the hospital for 4 days. Like, it can't get worse, right? And if it does get worse, I am praying for you guys. I could not imagine. Clogged ducts are not fun. Mastitis is not fun. Breast abscess, not fun. So I will just continue to pray for people that go through that, because I understand. I was there with you. With that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry I have been a little MIA. I hope that kind of helps. Being in the hospital for 4 days was not fun when it was literally when I got home. So kind of after that week, I was like, never mind, you know, I'm just gonna take a break from video and YouTube and all that and just kind of hang out with family the rest of this month, because I'm realizing how quick time goes when something happened that I wasn't expecting for a week. So yeah, that is kind of where I've been, but I'm back home in California. I'm excited to film more content for you guys. If you guys have any ideas of things you want to see, questions you have for me that you want me to answer, ask them down below. I'm always checking, making sure that you guys are seeing what you want to see. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm excited to get back into this, and if you guys want to keep up with me and more of my daily life, go ahead and follow my Instagram. I sometimes post on there a little bit more often than my videos. So I will see you guys in my next video.